Welcome to Lifestyle Alchemy. I'm Sydney, medical astrologer, energetic alchemist, and transformation expert. In this podcast, I share what I'm actually living and learning. Sometimes that's decoding my birth chart. Sometimes it's rewiring and regulating my nervous system. Sometimes it's just real talk about what's working and what's not. This show goes beyond astrology. You'll hear about health and wellness, mindset and energy work, manifestation, spirituality, and all the things that help us actually embody who we're meant to be. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to Lifestyle Alchemy. Okay, did you notice that I changed the name a little bit to the pod? Basically, I have been just feeling kind of like this metamorphosis energy. It's like, I think I'm finally actually starting to feel like kind of that renewal energy, that new year energy. We are literally so close to entering into the year of the fire horse, that year one energy that I've been waiting for. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we've all been waiting for it, but I guess it depends more so on what your personal year is in numerology. For me, of course, last year was a 9. 9s are probably the most challenging. Not all bad, but for sure challenging. Lots of endings, lots of letting go, lots of transformation. And so needless to say, I have been very excited to be feeling that exciting year one rebirth, rebuild, just renew energy. And I feel like I'm finally starting to feel that vibe, and I'm just like kind of slowly coming out of that wintering phase, even though obviously it is still very much winter. I live in Arizona, so it doesn't feel super wintry. Like, yes, it is cold in the mornings and at night, but in the day, it is a perfect like 70, 75 degree, maybe like high 60s, but even then, like right now it's 69 degrees. It's fucking beautiful. It's amazing. So, it's feeling like we are in our prime over here while the rest of most of the rest of the country is experiencing winter storms and snow and ice, and it's like beautiful. I love to see all the snowy pictures. My family is in Oklahoma and they have got snow right now. They are sending pics and everything, and I'm just like, you know what? I love to look at it, but I don't love all of the like inconvenience that comes with it, and the roads being potentially icy and people getting in wrecks, and everyone going psycho at the grocery store like, we need eggs and bread and milk. It's just like a tale as old as time, and that's just not happening over here in Arizona. So it's a different perspective because, I'm used to being caught up in all that in the Midwest. So I'm like really watching it from the outside here this year. And that's interesting and kind of fun. So, okay. I am going to share something. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I was going to go back to the podcast name. I'm like, I've got so much to talk about today. Where do I start? Okay. So first of all, I was just feeling like I want to change the name of the podcast just slightly because I very much connect to alchemy. I am an alchemist. I do a lot of alchemy work, a lot of frequency work. Just so much transformation. I literally am I would definitely call myself like a transformation expert at this point. Like I am, I'm a 6'3" profile, in human design, which if you are familiar with human design and the different profile lines, you know that, a 6'3" is very much like trial and error, like go through it and then teach it. And it's like kind of late bloomer energy, so to speak. And I'm also ruled by Saturn. And that's also very late bloomer energy, very like kind of like put you through the ringer, make you grow up fast. Not, in my case, not from, I didn't have like a traumatic upbringing or anything like that, but it was just, I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole other topic for another day. But So anyway, I still very much identify with alchemy. Like I am very active in alchemy work. I would say that that is the backbone of my transformation, my spiritual practice, the energy work that I do is very much supported by just alchemy and transformation and frequency work. And however, whenever I created the podcast, I started the podcast, picked the name, all of that, I was still very much thinking that I was going to be more like intuitive guide kind of person. And that very quickly through the program that I was in, or like the courses that I was in to train my intuition, I quickly was like, I don't actually agree with most of this and I don't like it. I feel like, yes, I am very intuitive. I am very much on board with people learning how to decipher their intuition and fine tune it and, you know, understand how they experience their intuition. However, the particular container that I was in, I'll do another episode on why I totally stepped away from that and why I like have a lot of beef with that method or like the way that it's taught. However, just to keep it a little bit short and sweet today, I really was like, no, I don't want to be an intuitive guide. I want to use my intuition the way that I've always been using my intuition in my life, which is just like for myself and for the decisions that I make. And I want my intuition to like guide my business and just everything that I'm doing, but I don't need it to be like the forefront. Like I don't need other people to be coming to me, paying me so that I can like just guide them with my intuition. I want to have more structure than that. I want to have more backing. So like for me, obviously I very, very much resonate with medical astrology. I think it's absolutely fucking life-changing. I think it's criminal that like more people don't know about it and aren't tuned in with it to know like you don't okay, let me not say that. I'll save that for another episode. But basically, just there is so much already created within medical astrology that is just so incredibly advanced and so accurate. And I love getting to have that as like the backbone of my business. And then I can like just kind of sprinkle in my intuitive hits and my intuitive knowing on top of that. That feels so good. And that feels so much more in integrity to me. Because like I am not an expert on everything. And one of my biggest beefs with like people using their intuition and claiming that they can just like look into anything and solve anything with their intuition is like, you literally don't know everything. Like you don't know all the options. You don't know all of the different, like you're not an expert in all of the medicines and all of the protocols in all of the forms of exercise or different forms of nervous system regulation. Like you can only intuit for people what you already have a frame of reference for in your own brain. And like if you've never heard of something before, you're not going to be able to intuit that for someone because you don't even know the word or you don't even know what it is. Like I think people are really, really limiting themselves especially within this particular intuitive community by, okay, I'm going to stop myself because like I said, I'm going to talk about this in another episode and I've got lots of thoughts and feelings about it. So, and that's not what I planned on talking about today. So anyway, used to be intuitive alchemy. And although, like I said, I'm still very intuitive, I still very much am in tune with my intuition and how it comes through for me. I just felt like the title was almost like a little bit limiting. And it just like, I just wasn't feeling super connected to it. I was feeling like it's not necessarily the most descriptive of like what this actual show is about and the things that I talk about. Cause I certainly don't just talk about intuition. Like, God, I would that would be so boring to me if we only talked about intuition. And so I, like, as you know, if you've listened to any number of episodes, like I talk about a different, like a wide variety of things. Most of those things fall within the health and wellness or spiritual, you know, kind of mindset work, reprogramming, manifesting, alchemical, like all of that / health and wellness, medical stuff. Of course, holistic, alternative medical stuff for the most part. And then astrology. And so I just feel like that is very much more, encompassing than just like intuitive alchemy. So I was like, you know what? I already on my Substack channel months ago when I created that, I created the channel. It's called Medical Astrology and Lifestyle Alchemy with Sydney. And I was like, oh my God, I love lifestyle alchemy. I feel like that is so much more fitting for like really just like my brand and like me as a person and the things that I'm passionate about, the things that I like to talk about and teach about, just the things that I literally talk about just with my friends, like not even in a like educational like podcast format, but literally just like that's what I want to talk about, like when I'm just having conversations with people that I know in real life. So I changed the name to Lifestyle Alchemy immediately. It was just like immediate yes, like I just full body yes. I searched before I officially changed it. Of course, I searched to make sure that there wasn't another podcast already called that, and there wasn't. And so I was just like, yes, okay. I've never heard anybody else, like I'm not saying nobody has, but I've never come across anybody else like on social media or anything like saying that term, like lifestyle alchemy. And I love it because I feel like it encompasses exactly what I want to do, which is help people, like myself included, craft a lifestyle. A lifestyle that supports their health and wellness and supports their own personal transformation, whatever that might look like, in a way that like honors their unique design, your unique design and my unique design, because my methods might be totally different than yours. And, you know, they probably are, at least in a few ways. So I love it. I feel like I'm excited by it. And of course, it's always fun to be like reinvigorated. And it's certainly not that I was like tired of the podcast or anything, but I think I just needed a little generation of new energy and just feeling like realignment, I guess is probably the best word. So, okay, that's that new podcast name, Lifestyle Alchemy. We've got a new intro. We've got a new podcast artwork, all those things. So that's my little announcement on that. And then, okay, second order of business is, I know last week in the last episode, I talked to you about the most unexpected and life-changing benefits that I received from microdosing tirzepatide. And I realized after, I think just because like the episode was getting so long, I was like trying to wrap it up and I didn't have notes or anything. Like I was literally just yapping. You guys, when I started this podcast, I was literally like, I had so many notes, I had so many bullet points, and now like I almost never have notes. I am just like straight yapping from the heart. And sometimes like that, it's very much like it's easier for me to be in flow that way, but sometimes it means that I'm a little bit more disorganized with my communication and I just kind of jump all over the place and sometimes forget to say things. So something that I forgot to mention is I wanted to say, because I know like one of the biggest questions people have asked me whenever they find out like that I was on tirzepatide and then I stopped taking it is like, did you gain the weight back, or are you in the process of gaining the weight back? And so I want to address that, and the answer is no. I mean maybe like a pound or two, you know, maybe a couple pounds, but it's like hard to tell because as a woman, obviously our weight fluctuates every month, like depending on the time of the month. You know, if you're in luteal, you are probably retaining more water, or like if you have one of those scales, like I have one of those scales that analyzes like your bone, how much your bones weigh, how much water weight you have, your body fat percentage, all of that. And so that changes pretty drastically during luteal, to where like even the body fat percentage will go up. And like, even if the weight, the number of the pounds isn't that different. And so it's like, you know, depending on the day, maybe I've gained a couple pounds back, or maybe I've even lost more. So the answer is no, I am not gaining the weight back. However, what I am noticing, which in a good way, is I am noticing myself, I'm still leaning out. I am still every day feeling more and more like myself, and like just feeling more connected to my body, recognizing my body like in a good way. Because if you have gained weight, whether it's because of like lifestyle habits kind of going down the drain, like you're just not making as good or loving of choices for your body as you used to, or whether it is gaining weight due to some kind of a health issue or a health crisis, or, you know, autoimmune or metabolic something or other, hormone imbalance, which obviously that was my case. And like, it can fuck with you whenever you gain weight and you're like, well, what? Especially, I think it might even fuck with you more whenever your lifestyle habits are still the same. Like, they're just as good as they ever were, and you're seeing your body like react kind of negatively because it's putting on weight, and you're just like, I don't recognize myself. I don't feel connected to my body. Like, what the input, what I'm putting in my body and what I'm doing for my body is still good, but how it's responding is as though I'm not taking care of it, and I don't feel good, and I'm starting to not love the way that I look. And so that can kind of mess with you, you know, whenever you're like looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, what am I looking at? This is not my body. This is not what I'm used to seeing. This is not how I'm used to feeling. And so basically, I am just like, I've been overwhelmed lately with just gratitude of looking at myself in the mirror and feeling like me again, like feeling like I recognize this body. I have seen this body before, and I love this body, and I am so like, I'm not even to my exact goal weight at this point, but I'm like okay with it. I'm like, you know what? I have made so much progress, and I am just recognizing myself again. I'm feeling great. I am noticing like definition in places that I used to have definition, that like I'm just noticing less softness, less, you know, puffiness, inflammation, all of that. And I'm just, I know that people are all like, especially as we were like ending 2025, going into 2026, I saw several people post like, you know, the ins and outs list. And then on the outs, I saw a lot of people saying things like, throw out your someday jeans, or like your jeans that you think someday you may be able to wear again or to fit in again. And honestly, so, okay, I understand why someone would say that if you're not doing anything to work towards ever wearing those clothes again. Like, I understand it's just taking up space, it's stagnant energy, it is not necessarily serving you. But if you're someone who's like, no, these were my fucking favorite jeans, and I am going to wear them again. Like, I'll be damned if I don't wear these jeans again. I had some jeans like that, and I was keeping them in our guest closet, so they weren't taking up space, and like I wasn't seeing them necessarily every day, and like, you know, looking at them and feeling guilty or like beating myself up. Like, I wasn't doing that. I just like put them away in the guest closet because, one, they are nice jeans and they're perfectly good. Like, they're not worn out. They're not anything like that. They're amazing. Like Banana Republic, Gap, Express. Like, I love them so much. And they were my favorite jeans. And there's like several of them. And I was like, I'm going to fit in these again. And I am working for it, but like in a loving way, like over time. I'm not killing myself for it. I'm not like burning myself out to fit in these jeans, but I'm keeping them because they don't make them anymore. And so I just kind of like low key disagree with that, unless, like I said, unless you're just using it as a way to beat up on yourself and to feel bad and negative and guilty towards yourself and your body. Like, then obviously that's a whole different energy. That is not the energy that I have been feeling. So anyway, all right, so I kept the jeans and Corey and I went on a little like impromptu date the other night, and I was like, I'm gonna wear some jeans. And so I was like, you know what, I haven't tried to put on these one particular skinny jeans, have not put them on in months. Like, I haven't even tried to put them on because like I didn't want to put them on too soon and be disappointed and feel maybe a little bit low-key discouraged. And so they have just been hanging there patiently waiting, and I was like, all right, let me try them on. And I like almost mentally was preparing myself for me to not really be able to button them, or like just barely, but like they're too tight. And I slid those things on and they were perfect, you guys. Like, they were fucking perfect. I had extra room in the waist. Like, they fit so well, like just how they used to fit. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm literally still like probably, I don't know, 5 to 7 pounds away from my like ultimate goal weight. And like, I'm like, if I get there, I get there. Like, I'm not counting calories. I'm not doing anything crazy, anything strict. I am just like truly loving my body and nourishing my body, but also allowing myself to indulge and be a human and just like enjoy things again. Because for so long, like I talked about in the last podcast, for so long, I really wasn't allowing myself to do that. And I think that like, I totally believe that the frequency in which you do things and the belief system in which you do things is how they are going to be processed in the body. And so that is something that I feel is making a huge difference. Like, even if I do drink a Coke once in a while, like not a Diet Coke, a regular Coke, I am not beating myself up going, oh my God, that's 50 grams of sugar or whatever. And I'm not saying that that's like the healthiest decision to make, but sometimes if I'm going to allow myself to do that, I'm going to do that in the frequency of love. And I'm going to do that in the frequency of like blessing the food or the drink and raising its frequency and believing that my body is healthy and well equipped enough to digest it, to process it, to neutralize anything harmful that may be in it. So anyway, that's a whole other topic. Maybe I'll talk about that another time, about just like how to raise the frequency of foods and stuff, and products that you use. But anyway. All right, so today we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. As I really planned on talking about like 2 things, and I've already talked about so many, and we've got a lot more to go. So buckle up. This is going to be a long episode. I can already tell. Okay. So the jeans fit. And so then I like the next day I was like, oh my God, well now I want to try on some of these other ones. And so I tried on some of the other ones and they fit too. Like, some of them were still pretty snug, but they buttoned no problem. And, you know, just with a little stretching out, they'll be perfect. And I am just so excited. I'm so grateful to be recognizing my body again and feeling like me again. And I'm not even, like, to be honest with you guys, I'm not even really exercising a whole lot right now. I am feeling very much a pull to get back into like a very regular yoga practice. My relationship with yoga has transformed a lot over the years, which I might talk about that another time. But I have been feeling such a call to start doing that again and just falling back in love with it the way that I did whenever I first started doing yoga, like before I started teaching or anything like that. And so I have signed up to get like virtual classes from my past teacher in Tulsa, who is just the best of the best, because I'm so picky about yoga. But I like get so pissed if I take a class, like whether it's in person or virtual, if I take a class and it sucks and the sequencing doesn't make sense, and I'm just like, this like is not good, this is not good quality yoga, I get so pissed. Like, and so it's tough for me to find yoga that I like feel like was really intelligently done and taught and cued and all of that. Like I like, not to like toot my own horn, but like I am a damn good yoga teacher. And so like I feel like whenever you're a teacher of anything and you are like really good at your craft and you've taken the time to like really learn it and you just love it, it can make it hard to like be the recipient of that practice, like from other people, because you're just like, you're not looking at it the same, like from the same lens as you were whenever you were just a student, because now you know, like it's almost like you know too much. So anyway, I don't know if you can relate to that, but okay, so that is my little, I just wanted to answer that question about, am I gaining the weight back? The answer is no. I truly feel like, because I did a lot of work to heal my thyroid, to turn my thyroid back on, whereas it had been frozen, it had been hypo, underactive and sluggish. I did so much work to unfreeze it and to get it to turn back on and do what it's supposed to do, produce the hormones it's supposed to produce. And I did so much work on regulating my nervous system, blah, 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 blah. You've heard me talk about that a million times. I probably will still keep talking about it for like until the end of time. But I did so much work on all of that. And then whenever I decided to microdose the Tirzepatide, it was like, that was just like a little extra boost, you know? It's like waking up with, after, this is like the analogy that's coming to me right now. So like getting a really, really amazing night of sleep. Like you go to bed early, you've got clean sheets, you're putting on clean, soft, like super luxurious matching pajamas. You've got a really cool like 68 or 69 temp in the room. You've got just cozy bedding. You've got like maybe a sound machine. Like I like to listen to brown noise whenever I sleep. You've got maybe an air purifier or a fan or something, whatever it is. Maybe you like total quiet, but it's like pitch black in the room. No screen time. Like maybe you're just reading a book until you fall asleep or whatever, and you sleep so good. Like you just sleep through the night and it's just like such deep sleep. And then you wake up in the morning and you're super, super rested and you're ready for the day. And then you go have like your latte and it's delicious. And it's just like a little boost of caffeine. Like you didn't like necessarily need it, but it's just like a little icing on the cake. It's like a little extra boost, a little extra spring in your step, even though you already just got the rest you needed. So that's kind of like, for me, what the Tirzepatide was. Like I already laid the foundation work and I did so much of the work, like to allow for a solid foundation for the Tirzepatide to come in and just boost me. And so it's like it just kind of helped push me a little further ahead in a shorter amount of time than it would have taken otherwise, but it still would have happened otherwise, if that makes sense. And so that truly is how I believe it worked for me, because of the timing. Like if I had just gone to Tirzepatide first and I had not done all of the other foundational work, I truly don't believe I would have had the same results in such a short amount of time. And I do believe I would be more likely to gain the weight back when I got off of it. And I think that that's the mistake so many women are making with the GLPs, is like that's the first line of defense and you're not necessarily addressing the other underlying causes that maybe led to the weight gain in the first place, or whatever reason. Like maybe you're not taking it just for weight loss, maybe you're taking it for other, like, you know, inflammation or just like insulin resistance, like all of that. It doesn't really matter, but because it's at the end of the day, it's the same thing. Like you didn't gain weight or you didn't develop insulin resistance or whatever. You didn't develop inflammation because you were deficient in GLP-1. Like, that's not the root cause. You didn't develop any of those issues because you didn't have enough tirzepatide in your system. Like, that is an extra tool, but it is not the reason why you developed whatever issue you developed. And so you still need to address those other issues, and then you can also add in the peptides to help speed it along and help it land even more. So that's my stance towards specifically the GLPs. Now with some of the other peptides like BPC 157, like those other ones can be amazing to start taking at the very beginning of your healing journey, because for instance, for BPC 157, it's incredible for healing your gut lining and for reducing systemic inflammation in your body, things like that. So I will say for other peptides, like I have a different stance, but specifically for the GLPs, like you need to be doing the other work too. So, okay. That's my answer on that. I just wanted to update. I am still leaning out. The scale hasn't changed much. It's just like I'm noticing different body composition. And for me also, like, yes, I had a goal weight in mind, and I'm just like strictly going off of reference for how I used to look and how much I used to weigh. Like, that's literally like, I'm not picking a random number. I'm literally picking the number based on like, okay, so at this time in my life, when I felt like I looked the best I had ever looked and I was in the best shape I had ever been, this is how much I weighed. And so that's kind of how I landed on my number. That is my goal. However, I also am not like overly attached to the number. I'm more so attached to like how I looked and how I felt. So if, let's say, I stay about the same weight as I am right now, which is about 5 to 7 pounds heavier than my goal number, I'm like, as if my body comp changes enough to where I look relatively the same as I did at that lighter weight, I'm fine. Like, I don't care. At that point, I don't care anything about the number. Like, it's literally just about the look and the feel, how my clothes fit, the confidence that I'm feeling like in my body, and just, you know, all of that. So, okay, moving on. The topic of the day, the main topic of the day, even though we've already done like a 31-minute podcast that is like already a full-length podcast, but this is going to be like kind of a 2-in-1 situation. All right, so I want to talk to you guys about something, and it is something that I actually originally had planned on not talking about until it was more like set in stone. Especially once, I mean, I guess by the title of the podcast, you're already going to know what it's about. But so because of the topic, like most people do keep it pretty close to the chest, and they don't share until, you know, they're like 3 months pregnant or whatever. And also, a lot of people don't share what they're currently actively manifesting and I understand that. Like, I have been one of those people. And, you know, kind of like the thought process behind that, or the belief behind that, is that you just don't want people's like potentially bad vibes, you know, being projected onto you. Because a lot of times, like if someone is in a limited state of thinking, or just limited belief system, or whatever, scarcity mindset, and you tell them that you're manifesting something really big and amazing, like they're going to project onto you like why that's not possible, or why that's not a good idea, or why you don't deserve that, or like why that's not reasonable, it's not realistic, whatever. And some people like truly just don't want the best for you. Like at the end of the day, some people just are not very nice people, and they're just like in a place in their life where they can't be happy for you, and that just is what it is, and it sucks, but you just want to distance yourself from people like that, obviously. But so okay, I have been not planning on sharing this, like I said, until it was like actually already come to fruition. However, I have been getting pings and messages, both from myself, like my higher self, and also from a friend who's very connected and intuitive and all of that. And so basically, I feel called to share with you about what I'm doing and what Corey and I are both doing to get ready for pregnancy and conception and being parents, because that is something that we are manifesting. That is something that we are actively open to and allowing, inviting into our lives. And I will share the story. We're already like so far into the podcast, but I am going to share with you today things that I am doing to prepare for pregnancy. And I'm also going to talk to you a little bit astrologically about why 2026 is actually extraordinarily good for conception and like new parenthood and all of that. And so I'm going to talk to you about that. And then separately in a different episode, I will share the whole story of how we connected to our spirit baby, which was actually a totally unexpected experience. It was definitely not something that was like super on our radar, my radar specifically. I think it was a little bit more on Corey's radar than it was on mine. But so I will share that whole story with you. But just in a nutshell, we were connected with a spirit baby that is up there, and there may be more than one. I don't know at this point, but I know that there is at least one, and it is a feminine energy, a feminine soul. That doesn't necessarily mean like I'm going to say she, because like that's just the language that I have and the understanding that I currently have. But like she also could totally throw us a curveball and like incarnate as a male, and that would be like wild, but it wouldn't, like it happens, like it's not an uncommon thing to happen. So anyway, I'm going to talk about it as in she. I do know her name. We know her name, or like what she wants her name to be in this life. I don't know that I'll share that right now, but I'll probably share that whenever we are pregnant officially. But anyway, okay, so yeah, we are inviting parenthood into our lives in 2026. And so I'm going to start out by just talking in general. Like obviously I've looked into my specific chart and transits and everything like in relation to this happening for us in 2026, but I also like just in general, 2026 is really, really like fertile, exciting energy. Like it's in a lot of ways, like it's the astrology that people wait years for. And it's, of course, collectively, it's a year one, which is all about rebirth and like new beginnings and all of that. And so, and then like for me, it's also a personal year one. So it just feels very much in alignment. Okay. So one thing that is like so good and just expansive and kind of somewhat rare is that Jupiter is currently in Cancer, and it's going to be in Cancer until June 30th, 2026. And fun fact, that's my birthday. And so Jupiter moves into Leo on my birthday. But Jupiter in Cancer is the best case scenario. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. It loves to be in Cancer. Jupiter's favorite place to be is in Cancer. And like it is the cornerstone of why 2026 is so good for fertility just in general. Now, I'm not saying like, obviously we all have our own charts and we all have our own like transits that may be better or worse than others, but this in general is an incredibly fortuitous placement or like transit, I guess you could say, with Jupiter being in Cancer. So Jupiter only transits Cancer every 12 years. And so it's like, it's not going to happen again for another 12 years. And does Jupiter have to be in Cancer for you to be your most fertile and for you to conceive? Like, no, of course not. But it's just like fun, and it's cool that it is there in this year one, along with the other things that are happening that I'm going to talk about. So what does this mean? So Cancer, if you're not aware, it rules the womb, the breast, the reproductive fluids. And sorry if that sounds gross, but that is what it does. Cancer is the mother of the zodiac. So it's motherhood. It's your nurturing instincts. It's like that caretaker energy. It is emotional bonding and the actual creation of family, the creation of your own family. And it's also, it rules the home, like the home as the sanctuary. And Jupiter, which is expansion, blessings, growth. You can also view that very much as fertility, like that creation energy, that expansion of the family, just that really like fertile creation energy. So whenever Jupiter is in the sign that's the most connected to fertility and motherhood, it is expanding that energy. It's like a universal green light for conception, and it just enhances your fertility across the board, astrologically speaking. And kind of also can expand your emotional readiness for parenthood. So if you're anything like me and you kind of in the past have been like maybe turned off by parenthood. I mean, I was like full stop turned off by parenthood, motherhood, like all of that. I was like, not for me. And I just was like not emotionally open to or ready for the idea of parenthood. And I have just like gone through such a transformation in that area to where like my openness for it has completely made a 180. Like I'm feeling so much more connected to it and just like viewing it in such a different way, in such a more expansive way than I ever have before. And okay, sorry, I didn't mention this, but to be fair, we learned about our spirit baby a year ago, actually over a year ago, a little bit over a year ago. It was last January, like beginning of last January in 2025. So we've had a year to sit on this and to mull it over and to feel into it. And of course, like for 2025, like I was on a major physical healing journey. I certainly wasn't gonna like I just got diagnosed with Hashimoto's like last January or February or something. Like I wasn't going to be like, okay, cool. Like let's also try to get pregnant. You know, like there was still a lot that needed to be done, a lot of healing that needed to be done, a lot of just kind of like feeling into, getting ready for, adjusting to the idea of like our lives completely changing for parenthood. And, you know, it's not that like, I don't believe that you have to, or that you're supposed to lose yourself when you become a parent. But like, obviously we all know life changes like hugely whenever you have a baby, even if it's just like for a period of time. Like you're literally devoted to keeping another human alive. And like right now, all I have to do is keep myself alive and like take care of the dogs, you know, like that's not that hard. So, anyway, so I tell you that to say like, even where I was at emotionally in relation to parenthood, motherhood, you know, just having a baby, whenever we first learned about spirit baby is so night and day different from where I'm at now with it a year later. And of course, a lot of that is to do with like the healing work that I've done specifically and all the conversations Corey and I have had about it. But also I truly believe that the astrology has also set me up to be positioned to where I can actually like fully step into that and be open to that. Okay, so another thing that's happening is Saturn is in Aries, and it's from May 2025, so it's been there since last May, and it will be there until 2028. So that one's a bigger window than the Jupiter one. But what this can mean, Saturn being in Aries can bring courage to start new chapters. Aries is initiation energy. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It is that starter. I mean, it's a cardinal sign also, which so is Cancer, but Aries is the first one. It's like very initiation energy. Like, let's go. It's like that let's fucking go energy. Like, that's what I think of when I think of Aries. Well, that's one of the things I think of when I think of Aries. And then just building something entirely new from the ground up. It's taking bold action on family planning. It's creating healthy boundaries around parenthood decisions and deciding like what looks right for you. You know, like you don't have to do things the way that you've seen them done. You don't have to do things the way that your parents did. You don't have to do things the way that you see other people doing it if it doesn't feel good and authentic to you. And that's something that I have just like, I think really leaned into over the last probably 6 months or 8 months or so, is just like deciding and allowing myself to like admit that I don't have to do things the way that I've seen other people do it. Like, I mean, growing up in the Midwest, things are done very differently there than like what I want to do. Like growing up in the Bible Belt, it's different. It's very different. And it's not how I want to raise a family. It's not how I want to raise a child. And I'm not going to get into all the reasons why, like you can probably like discern that for yourself. But, if you've listened to my podcast, you know that like, that's just not the vibe for me. But I think that now, like, of course I wasn't thinking, 6 or 8 months ago that about Saturn being in Aries and what that might mean for my boundaries around parenthood decisions. Like, I was not thinking that way, but now that I am more aware and have gotten more aware of like the astrology and like how it's supporting all of this, I'm like, okay, that makes total sense. Cause I literally have been having those thoughts of like, no, we get to choose how we want to do this and how we want to structure our family, how we want to parent, what kind of dynamics do we want to have? What do we want our norms to be? Not what we have just like seen modeled for us, whether it's where we grew up or Corey and I had totally different like environments. He grew up in Orange County and I grew up mostly in the Tulsa area, Oklahoma. And so it's like, yeah, we had totally different, totally different, upbringings or just like environments in which we grew up. But okay, moving on. We've got Neptune Saturn alignment. And so that's a supportive aspect in 2026. And it just kind of like blends spiritual readiness, which would be more Neptune's thing, with practical timing, which would be more Saturn. Saturn's very practical. And so it can just help us align, or help those who are wanting to start a family or start family planning. It can help you align with your soul's desire for children with real world preparedness. Like, you're actually, because like, nothing is ever all spiritual or all physical. Like, we want to blend both. So it's like, okay, let's align with that soul desire, that soul contract, decision or whatever. Let's align that with like, what do we need to do in the 3D? And that's very Neptune, Saturn. Like they go together hand in hand to allow for that in the best and most beautiful way. And then we've got lastly, Uranus is in Gemini, and that began in July 2025. And that's a 7-year cycle. So that's going to be there. Uranus is going to be in Gemini for a while. So what that kind of represents is revolutionary approaches to conception and pregnancy, and potentially embracing like new fertility technologies or methods, or just like flexible parenting models, and breaking traditional family structure rules. So that kind of goes along with that Saturn and Aries, which I was talking about. Like this is like it's like kind of the same theme, but different kind of energy behind it. Because Uranus is a very different energy from Saturn. And obviously Gemini is a very different energy from Aries as well. But it's all kind of like pointing in the same direction. It's all working together, which is so cool. And so just collectively, 2026 represents a very rare kind of convergence where the fertility planets, like the moon's nodes and Jupiter, and then also the structural planets, Saturn, support this family creation or family planning simultaneously. And so it's just kind of like, if you've been waiting for the right time, this might be it. And so another layer for me personally is 2026 is kind of, it's like ruled by the sun. And for me, I'm a Cancer sun. And so Cancer is, of course, as I said, the mother of the zodiac. We know that. And so it kind of feels to me like it's just amplifying that energy, that mother archetype energy for me, which like for so many years of my life, I have felt very disconnected from my Cancer sun energy. I have felt way more connected to my Sagittarius moon, my Aquarius rising, or even other placements like my Taurus Venus, and just like that Cancer energy. I'm just like, I just don't identify with that the most out of my chart. Like I just feel not super Cancer-y. I don't feel super like water signy. And I think like part of what all of this energy is supporting is my realization of the fact that motherhood and Cancerian energy is a part of my life purpose. Not in the sense that like it has to look like a certain way, or it has to be like super emotional or super self-sacrificing or anything like that. But like in the sense that it's actually going to unlock something within me that I couldn't access otherwise. And I think that's the thing that's most exciting to me, is like I just have this knowing, this like total confidence and knowing that motherhood is, of course, not going to be easy, but that it is going to unlock a part of me, a version of me, like something within me that I just could not access otherwise, that I would not be able to embody otherwise, any other way. And so for me, it just feels like this is the year to like really be able to activate and flip that Cancer sun energy on in a way that like really, really honors me and doesn't just like, it's not stereotypical Cancer energy, because like that's the stuff I don't relate to. Whenever like almost all of the content that I see on social media where you like see something and you're like, if you're a Cancer sun, da 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 da, and you like scroll and you find your sign, and I just like read it and I'm like, I literally like, I'm not like that. I am not a moody, emotional, like crying all the time Cancer like that. I am not like that. And yes, of course, I'm a Sagittarius moon, so like that is the emotional, that's your emotional side, your inner world, so like maybe that cancels out some of that. But I'm just like, I just almost never relate to the stuff that it says about Cancer. Like I am not overly sensitive, I am not emotional like that. I am way more likely to cry about something that's happy than sad. Like I tear up all the time over stuff that's like happy or just really touching or like profound. And I'm not over here just like being moody and crying and like taking things personally and holding grudges. Like I am not, like that's just such like the shadow side, stereotypical Cancer stuff. And I'm just like, it's slander. Like that's not me. And so I think I'm just like really allowing myself to step into this idea that I can step into my Cancer energy and still not be those things. Like, and like, it's just going to unlock a whole next level version of myself that I just like can't even imagine right now, the magnitude of it. So, okay. That being said, if you are, wanting to conceive this year, let me know if that's something that you're comfortable sharing. I would love to know who is on this journey as well in 2026, and send you the best vibes, send you the best energy, the best like abundant and fertile energy. Okay, so now I did make a list. I wrote down with handwriting, which good luck to me for being able to read it because I do not have good handwriting. But I did write down a list of the things because I wanted to make sure to mention all the things that we are doing to prepare for pregnancy. Most of these are physical things, but some of them are also more like mindset, energy things. Okay, so first thing we did was, of course, decide that we were both on the same page and that we were going to stop preventing. And so here's the thing. Whenever people share things about like pregnancy or trying to conceive or even like a surprise or like quote unquote accidental pregnancy, like I want to know the deets. Like tell me, how did you, like, you know, especially when people get surprise pregnant, I'm like, how did that happen? Because like we know that there's only a few days a month that you can even conceive, like, and it's not even ever a 100% chance. Like this is, it's like hard. And I don't say this in like a limiting way, but like, you know, whenever we're like teenagers or middle school or whatever, and we're learning about like sex ed and everything and like the menstrual cycle and pregnancy and everything, it's like they literally make you think that like it is so fucking easy to get pregnant. Like someone sneezes on you and you get pregnant basically. And that's just not how it is. Like literally during any given cycle, like the highest percentage chance that you have of conceiving is like 35%. And that's if you're under 30 and perfectly healthy. So like even at your absolute highest chance, it's still less than half. So I'm just like, how are all these accidental pregnancies happening? I don't understand. But anyway, so we first just like decided that we were going to stop preventing. And now I have not, like, this is going to be TMI. Like if you are a family member, like if you're not cool with like hearing all of this, just go ahead and turn this off, because I am not like, I'm going to share all the things, and I'm going to do that because that's the kind of information I like to receive. And I don't like people being all like weirdly secretive and like shy. So I'm just going to share. I'm not going to be graphic, but I'm going to share. So this is your warning. If you know me in real life and you don't feel comfortable hearing this, turn it off. Okay, so I have not been on birth control for many years. Like I literally don't remember. I got off birth control whenever I got married at some point, like pretty shortly after I had gotten married, which was a decade ago, literally. I got married in 2016 and now we're 2026. So 10 years ago, I got off birth control, and I don't really know why I did that. Like we weren't trying to get pregnant. I think I just was like, I don't know. Maybe I learned about the harmfulness of birth control. Like who knows? So anyway, I've been on birth control for a long time, and I've just been tracking my cycle, and that has worked. Like it does work. If you have, I will say, here's the caveat. If you have a regular cycle, I can see how tracking your cycle would be very difficult, and like using that, like the fertility awareness method, like using that for trying to prevent pregnancy would be very difficult if you do not have a regular cycle. I have always had a regular cycle. So for me, like luckily this has been very effective, and there's never been like a scare or anything like that. Like Corey and I have never used anything other than tracking my cycle. That's the only form of birth control that we have ever used. And we have never had a single like scare or like, oh my God, you know, is my period's late? Like nothing like that has ever happened. And I was just using, until like a few months ago, I was literally just using the Apple the Apple app. And then I also had this other app called Lively, which is like, I think it was like $5 or $6 a month. And it didn't, like, I wasn't using a wearable. Like, I wasn't wearing my Apple Watch overnight. I didn't have an Oura ring yet. Like, nothing. I wasn't taking my body temperature, like my basal body temperature. I wasn't doing any of that. I was literally only tracking it based on like my period. Like, and it's prediction. Like, it's prediction based on when it thought I was ovulating in relation to when my period was. So that worked for me and for us. And then I got an Oura ring last, I don't know, fall, I think. And I got that one so that, yes, I could more deeply track my cycle, like with that temperature aspect to it. But also I just like wanted to track my sleep. I wanted to track my stress. I just wanted to see those other metrics, and I love it. I think the Oura ring is so fucking cool. And it's like not disruptive at all. Like, I would never wear an Apple Watch to sleep. Like, are you kidding me? God, no. That looks so uncomfortable. I would literally not do that. But wearing the ring is comfortable. Like, I don't even know it's there. I don't feel it. I'm just used to it. So anyway, that is the only form of birth control that we have ever used. And then we just decided, so like, whenever I started getting the intuitive hit last December that I was like needing to stop taking the Tirzepatide, even though our original plan was for me to take it through December, stop taking it in the beginning of the new year, and then like give a month or 6 weeks or so for it to detox out of my body, and then to start trying to conceive in like February. So that was our original timeline. And then whenever my higher self was like, no, girl, you're done. You like, stop, you're done. December like 5th or whatever, I think was my last injection date. And I just knew that I was done. And so I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like, we had a timeline, but obviously it's moving up, and I don't know what the reason for it is, but I don't need to know what the reason for it is. So that's when Corey and I started talking about like, okay, so do we want to go ahead and stop preventing like a little sooner than what we were originally planning on, like maybe in January, because that will be like the 1 month mark of being off of the Tirzepatide. And it takes like, I think 4 to 6 weeks to get out of your system. The Tirzepatide, semaglutide takes a little bit longer, like 6 to 8 weeks, I think. Don't quote me on that, but that's just what I remember like reading about. And so that's what we did. We just like stopped preventing and are tracking my cycle, of course, which I always have done. But of course now it's different, like before it would be like whenever I'm ovulating within that fertile window, it would be more like, okay, let's have a little extra caution there. Or now it's more like, okay, So, okay, that's one thing. And then Christmas Eve, we did a little manifesting ritual, which was really sweet. And somebody actually had told me about this, that they did it and it like worked for them. And I think it also, like, even if it doesn't work like super quick or whatever, like, I think it's just a sweet like thing to do as like a very symbolic welcoming in of a spirit baby. And so basically what we did was we bought a baby blanket, and it's actually funny because I thought it was going to be bigger, but it's really kind of just like it's like the size of a placemat, basically. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this wasn't really what I was expecting, but it's cute. And so we bought that, and then we wrapped it up like as a gift under the tree and like addressed it to baby, her name, and like said, it's from like your mom and dad. And we like held the blanket and like, oh, before we wrapped it, we both held onto the blanket like together and just like kind of closed our eyes and like visualized and infused the blanket with our intentions and just kind of like talked to her in our minds, and then out loud we each said something like a message to her out loud, just like letting her know that we are here and we're ready, and whenever she's ready to come in, we are excited about it and we are ready for it, and that like we can't wait to meet her, we can't wait to learn from her and teach her and all the things. And we just both kind of said messages like that from the heart, and then we wrapped it up and put it under the tree. And the person who told me about this, she said like after you put the tree up or you throw the tree away or whatever, like it's not Christmas anymore, you keep the gift wrapped and you just like put it somewhere else in the house, and then whenever you get pregnant, like you open it up. And so that's what we're doing. Like we just still have it wrapped and everything in Christmas wrapping paper, and that will be something that we open up. That's the first little item that we have bought the baby. And we will just keep that. So we did that on Christmas Eve, and it just felt really sweet and powerful. And I already feel very connected to her, maybe a little bit more than Corey. Like I know that he is, but I feel like mothers just like already, even before conception, just have that connection. Like I just feel like it's biological, it's quantum. Like I feel like as soon as we made the decision to be like, okay, we're ready, we're inviting this in, I was like, bam, like just instantly just super, super, super connected to her energy. And like every decision I make now like includes her and includes just the possibility of how it could affect a baby, not just myself anymore. And so that was a change that I just noticed like really quickly. It was just like a switch flipped, and that's like kind of hard to, I think, explain to a man, just because like for them it's strictly kind of more intellectual at this point, whereas I feel for women it really, even though it's not literally biological yet, it still feels like very physiological. Like the connection feels very physiological. Okay, I'm sorry, this podcast is going to be long because we've still got plenty more things to go. All right, I'm going to try to go rapid fire through the rest of these, but as we know, I like to expand on things. So, okay, next thing is no alcohol for me, specifically for me, but also extremely minimal amount for Corey. Now, I am not a drinker anyway. Like I've had my days where I was much more into the fancy cocktails, but I've always been a lightweight. I've always been like one drink and I'm tipsy. So I've never been a big drinker. I have never been especially a drinker in excess. I used to always be the kind of person who, like, we go out to eat, I would get a fancy cocktail. I'm just not doing that anymore, but I already stopped that last year once I learned about the autoimmune reaction that my body was having and the Hashimoto's and everything. Like, I already knew alcohol is like the fucking worst thing you can do for autoimmune. So that has been such an easy thing for me to just go 100% no alcohol. I just don't need it. And it's not a moral thing. It's literally just like, I don't feel great when I've had alcohol. And I know that it's not helping. I know that alcohol doesn't make you more fertile or more healthy. So I just I don't need my liver to have more detox to do than it already does. So I am just doing a 100% no alcohol. And Corey also is, I would say, about 98%. He's also not a huge drinker, but he loves some red wine. He likes to have a beer if we go out to eat. So I think since Christmas, he's maybe had 2 beers. Actually, no, not since Christmas, since like beginning of December, actually, because he started this around like Thanksgiving, and he's had like 2 to 3 beers, or maybe 2 beers and like 1 glass of wine since then. And it's been very spread out. And so that's something that he's doing, because as we know now, it's not just everything on the female biology. It is also, pregnancy and conception is also very much tied to or reliant on the man's health as well. Like the health of his sperm, and obviously the health of himself, like his body, is going to impact the health of the sperm. And so I am not taking the full fucking weight of responsibility of that. I'm like, no, sir, you are going to be the healthiest you can be on this journey as well. And of course, he is like more than willing to do that, because he's already a healthy person and he is a very conscious person. And so that is something that we are on the same page about. Okay. Next thing is I immediately started conception support vitamins. I think I started this in November. It was either November or December. I started these conception support vitamin packs from Parallel. And they're a company that they have like preconception, they've like prenatal, and they've got first trimester, second, like it goes like by where you are in the process, and there's different packs for that. So I am taking the conception support pack right now. Of course, once I do get pregnant, I will change to the first trimester pack. And they also have a men's pack that is just for men's fertility health and men's overall health. And Corey has been taking those every day. Okay, next on the list is no intense exercise, no extreme exercise. And that is for just, I mean, that's kind of a well-known fact that if you are pushing your body to the extremes in any kind of way, but especially physically, like it's just not going to add to your fertility. Like it's just not the best environment to foster growing a human inside of you if you're already using all of your resources just on your daily energy expenditure. And so I am not doing any intense exercise. I am not doing hot yoga, which I don't even like anyway. So I'm not like disappointed about that. Hot yoga is not something I literally ever did until I moved to Arizona. And I was like, you motherfuckers are crazy, because it's already so hot in Arizona, but like almost every yoga studio here is heated. And I'm like, I don't know why. I don't know why these desert people are so crazy. But anyway, I'm not doing it. If a class is hot, I'm not going right now, which just nervous system wise anyway, hot yoga can be like not good, but it's also not necessarily the greatest for when you're in a conception journey. Adding on to this, just no extreme anything. I'm not doing anything that's extreme in any kind of way, whether it's exercise, whether it is a protocol. I'm not doing any protocols right now. But like whether it's a detox or like, I'm just nothing extreme. Nothing extreme. Everything is about nourishment and balance and just feeling good and feeling taken care of and kind of just this softer energy. It doesn't mean I'm doing nothing, but it means that what I'm doing is supportive and not like punishing, extreme, just like balls to the wall energy, for lack of a better term. Okay, next thing is I stopped taking any supplements that are not pregnancy safe. There were a few that I was taking that are not recommended for pregnancy, such as glutathione and there was another one. What was it? It's slipping my mind right now. Calcium D-glucarate. I think it was calcium D-glucarate. It's not necessarily that it's like detrimental, but it's just like not necessarily recommended for if you do. Like, I think it's fine when you're trying to conceive, but if you do conceive, I think it's one of those that they're like, you could probably stop taking it. Yeah, but the glutathione was more like, it's an antioxidant. It aids in your body's detox, and it's just generally recommended to not do any kind of detox herbs or teas or supplements or protocols, specifically not protocols, if you are trying to conceive or if you're pregnant, because like that's just, it is not the time to do a master detox whenever you are pregnant. That's just not the time. So I stopped taking any supplements that would be something I would need to stop anyway. And I've also just cut way, 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 way down. That kind of goes back to the extremes. I've cut way down just on the amount of supplements I'm taking anyway. Like, there were even some ones that are fine. Like, they are not dangerous or anything for pregnancy, but I just like stopped taking them because I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm in this phase of like less is more. And that's just kind of more of an intuitive thing for my body. I'm just feeling into that. Just less feels like more right now for me. Okay. I am using all pregnancy safe skincare. That is something I don't use retinol. I don't use like any kind of prescription skincare. I don't use like high levels of like salicylic acid or benzoyl peroxide or anything. I do have like a spot treatment, an acne spot treatment, but it's like 2% salicylic acid, which is like fine. It's not recommended if you're pregnant to use anything higher than 2%, but I only use that, and it's just a spot treatment. It's not something I put all over my face. It's literally just like, if I have a zit, I put it on the zit and that's it. And I don't really use benzoyl peroxide, at this point. Like, I have used it in the past, but right now I don't think I have any products that have benzoyl peroxide in them. So there wasn't really a lot that I was doing that wasn't pregnancy safe. I think I just changed like one thing, like some peel pads I had. I think I just like switched those out for a more gentle alternative. But I already use clean skincare. I use almost exclusively Korean skincare, which tends to be much cleaner, higher quality, just more pure. And, I don't use anything too harsh, and that's already what I was doing. But I'm just, of course, being mindful if I am wanting to start a new product. I'm just thinking, okay, like, would this be safe? Would this be okay? And I'm like chat GPTing it or Googling or whatever before I start a new thing. Okay, I am not obsessing. Next thing, I am not obsessing over every metric. And I'm not buying like all of the fertility gadgets and everything. So what I mean when I say metric is like within the, like Aura, I'm not like, it can be tough to not, especially during that like 2-week wait period. It can be tough not to overanalyze every symptom you're having, or every like heart rate variation or HRV variation, or like, it was interesting. So I just got off my period, so I'm not pregnant right now, but this past like January 2-week wait that I had, it was our first like ovulation cycle where we were like officially not preventing and everything. And so I've never tried to get pregnant. Like, Corey has never tried to get someone pregnant, and I have never tried to get pregnant. So this was like all new. It's just a totally different kind of energy, especially when, your whole like sexually active life, you've been trying not to get pregnant, and then all of a sudden you're like switching, and it just is like kind of a interesting feeling. And, so we had our first like 2-week wait just recently, and it was It felt very long, I will say. Like, holy shit, I can see how a 2-week wait can kind of like drive you crazy. And I can see how, especially if you do have a wearable like the Whoop or the Aura Ring or the Natural Cycles like bracelet thing that they just came out with, I can see how you would be like obsessing over everything you're experiencing and every metric that it's giving you. And I just like was trying not to do that. Like, I was trying to just look at the data objectively and be like, okay, so it's telling me that my body was under a lot more stress than usual for like a week, which I thought was interesting because that hasn't happened any other time. My body temperature also took a spike. Like, my body temp tends to be low. Like, my baseline is like 97 or just under 97. My body temp since I have had my Aura Ring has never been 98 or above. Like, that's my norm. I have a lower body temperature and I have lower like blood pressure. That's just what I like. My norm blood pressure is between 100, like the top number is between 100 and like 106. So like those things are just normal for me. And so what was interesting for me this past like 2-week wait was my body temp spiked to 98.51, I think it was. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, that's high for me. Like, I know that that's normal for someone else, but for me, I was like, wow. And that was like difficult not to read too much into. And so I'm trying my best to just not obsess over everything. I'm not, like I said, I'm not buying all the fertility gadgets. Like, there's all these, you know, like ovulation tracker things and like, I don't remember like what any of them are called right now. I think one of them might be called like Initio or something like that. But they're just like these things. I don't really know exactly what they do or how they work, but they're supposed to like tell you the exact like day that you ovulate, even with more accuracy than just like taking an ovulation strip test. I don't know. I really don't know. But I am like, even though my personality kind of wants to just be as like precise and accurate as possible and like get all the fun little gadgets and like be a little mad scientist, I'm like right now not allowing myself to do that because I just want to let things happen as they should and as they may without like getting neurotic about it. And I'm not saying that like if you have these things that you are neurotic. I'm certainly not saying that. Like, obviously, if in 6 months I'm still not pregnant, like I'm probably going to have a different view and I'm probably going to be like, okay, let's look more into this. Like, let's see, maybe the Aura Ring isn't tracking exactly. My Natural Cycles app isn't really tracking exactly. And we're not timing this right. Like my view on this can absolutely change. I don't think that those things are bad at all, but I'm just like, my point in doing this is kind of just easing into this journey and letting things be without like hyper analyzing or over analyzing or anything like that. Because I just know that like my tendency is to do that. So I'm just not letting myself go there yet, and hopefully never, but at least yet. Okay. And then next thing, I'm regularly connecting with Spirit Baby and talking to her. Just like I said earlier, like I'm just so aware of her, like at all times. I'm just so like, she's just on my mind. She's with me all the time. I'm just feeling her presence. I'm feeling her energy. I am, like I said, making decisions with her in mind, or him. Like, if she comes out to be a boy, like I will be shocked, but but if she does, like that's fine too. But like I said, I'm just going to say her because right now, like it's very feminine energy. Okay. And Corey and I are just like talking about her a lot. We're talking about just all kinds of things in relation to parenting and how we want things to look and like what we're going to do about this and what we're going to do about that and like all of that. and just really like including her, talking about her and like how we're experiencing it, just staying connected in that way. Okay, and then next thing is surrendering control to her, to the spirit baby, like knowing that she knows the perfect time for her to come and for her to incarnate, and she knows exactly what she wants her astrological birth chart makeup to be. And this is something that I think is so cool. I'm so glad that I get to experience like motherhood with having the awareness of like astrology and everything, and with having the belief that we choose our parents and we choose when we want to be born and all of these things, because like, I don't know, I feel like I'm just already gonna know so much about her just by her like birth chart. I feel like I'm already just going to have, I know that I am already going to have the cheat codes for her. Like, I'm already going to be able to be such a better mother to her and parent to her, just because I'm going to know her like astrological makeup, and I'm going to be able to know like what does her nervous system specifically need, what kinds of foods are going to be best for her, like what times of day are going to be better for her for certain things. Like, I'm just going to know so much about how to nurture and nourish her that I feel like parents who don't have any awareness of specifically medical astrology, like not just astrology, like on a personality level, but also just like on the health and wellness, like body level, I feel like I'm just going to be ahead in that way. And so also I'm going to definitely be leaning into that and like creating content and courses and like just information, podcast episodes about how to use that as well, like in your own journey, whether you are in a conception journey or whether you are already a parent and you've got kids or multiple, like a kid or multiple kids. Because I think like we are just sleeping as a society on like the fact, like we're acting like our kids are just these like mysteries, and we just like can't figure out like how to deal with this strong-willed kid or whatever. And it's like, no, they literally incarnated with a fucking cheat code map known as their birth chart that tells you so much about them and their needs and their like just what's going to be good for them and what's maybe less helpful for them. So I am just trusting that even though like, yeah, was part of me like kind of low key hoping that I would just get pregnant on the first try, just because like how cool and easy would that be? I also am trusting and surrendering that she knows what she wants to be. Like, she obviously didn't want to be a Libra sun, you know, because she didn't incarnate or she didn't conceive in early January. So I have a very, very strong intuitive feeling that she wants to be very like that she's going to have, whether she's a Sagittarius sun or not, I feel very strongly that she's going to have like significant Sagittarius placements, and like that she's just going to be like Sagittarius energy as well as other energies too, of course. But I just won't be surprised if she has a significant Sag energy. And so I'm just trusting, you know, that I'm surrendering the timeline, and I'm trusting that she knows when it's going to be most helpful for her to incarnate for her unique soul purpose and soul mission, and knowing that in order to accomplish and like set herself up for the best possible outcome in relation to her soul purpose, like she has chosen and agreed to a specific birth chart, and that obviously is like dependent on like down to the minute that she's born. And so I'm just trusting that like, you know, she's going to come whenever it's best case scenario for her, dependent on what her soul contract is and what kinds of things she needs to do and who she needs to be in this life. And I think that's a perspective that I really don't hear anybody talking about. I don't think I've ever heard somebody talk about that. And I really want to like open up this conversation because I think like I see a lot of people like, I mean, for years, you know, you see people trying to conceive and maybe struggling, like having a hard journey with that, and even, you know, doing IVF and things like that. And I think like it's just such a perspective shift to change to like your spirit baby, assuming that you do have souls up there, or at least one soul up there that has chosen you to be their mother or father. Like they know when they want to come. Like, yes, you have to do the physical things to like manifest that, or, you know, for that to come into fruition on earth, because we are human beings. But like they are in control of when they want to come. Like this is all previously agreed upon, and you also agreed upon it. You also knew this. You just forgot because now we're here on earth as humans. And I just think that like we could take a lot of pressure off of ourselves. Like, yes, of course, we want to be healthy. We want to be, you know, to prep for pregnancy if we are able to do that. We want to be making healthy choices, and we want to have balanced hormones, and we want to have an optimal body, like just an optimal space in our bodies and lives for inviting in a baby. But also knowing that you are not as in control as you think you are. Like we don't need to be putting this much pressure on ourselves to conceive in like whatever amount of time you have in your mind, because your soul, like the soul that is coming in that has chosen you, has their own timeline. Like they know when they want to come, and they know when it's going to be best for them to come. And you are a part of that plan too, even though you can't like consciously remember it right now. Okay. So I'm sure I'll be talking a lot more about that concept moving on. Okay. And then the last thing is just consuming positive pregnancy and birth story content. And there is a lot out there. Like there's a whole world of content out there that I was not aware of. And I think it's so cool. Like there's just a little section of the internet for everything. And I mean, you know how TikTok is, you know, you like one video and then all of a sudden that's like your whole algorithm. And so I'm seeing a lot of like natural pregnancy stuff on my feed, both on Instagram and TikTok. And I am like just really loving consuming in a balanced way. Like I'm not obsessing over it, but just in a balanced way, consuming these really positive birth stories and like positive, like I want to have an unmedicated birth if at all possible. Like unless there's some reason why I'm not able to do that, like that's what I'm going to do. And I am just like loving hearing from other women who did it successfully and who are just having a really like encouraging message around that, and like giving their tips and just all kinds of things like that. Like I had never watched stuff like that before. That's just not something I ever like had a reason to really like get into. And of course, like it wasn't on my algorithm because that's not what it's not what I was like attracting or open to in my life up until this point. And there are just so many beautiful stories out there. Like I have literally just been like laying there watching these like incredible stories, like just make me appreciate a woman, like the woman's body, like the female body is so fucking incredible. And it's like I knew that, but then hearing these stories, I'm just like, holy shit, like we are portals, we are superheroes. Like the things that we do unmedicated and just like fully conscious, fully aware, it's just like wild to me. And I'm so excited to be able to experience that and to do it for myself and get to talk about it myself. And so yeah, I just like consuming that content is just like really, really encouraging and makes me feel really excited for whenever it is our turn to get to experience that and welcome Miss Girl into the world. So, okay, that's all I have on my list. This is probably the longest episode I have ever done. And there's still more stuff I could say, but there will be plenty of time for that. I'm going to take you guys along for this journey. And like I said, initially I was not planning on doing that. I was really planning on just doing the traditional, don't talk about it, don't talk about it, don't talk about it until you're like 3 months pregnant and then announcing it. And I just realized like, that's not what I want to do. I like whenever people take me along for the ride with them, and also just being a 6'3" profile line in human design. Like I know that my medicine is best like received whenever I'm teaching things that I'm living through and going through and like have gone through. And I just feel like this is a really authentic way for me to share these things with you. And maybe you're going through the same, like maybe you're also trying to conceive, or maybe you just recently conceived. I know I've heard so many women talk about like wanting to conceive in 2026. I also know women who just like literally just found out that they're pregnant. And so I just think that like we are not always like I said, I understand why people don't like to share too soon, but I also think like sometimes that can make you feel lonely. It can make other people feel lonely when nobody's talking about it. And so I want to talk about it, and I want to share, and I will overshare, I'm sure. I'm going to give you all the deets. So if you are along for this journey too, I would love it if you DM'd me and let me know if you are on the TTC journey, the trying to conceive journey as well, or if you are already pregnant and you're tuning in. Oh my gosh, send me a DM. I want to send you all the good energy. I promise you I will not be projecting any evil eye energy or any any limiting beliefs onto you. I will just be so happy and excited for you. And yeah, okay, that's what I have for you today. I just feel so good that I like went through with sharing this, even though it felt a little bit scary, and some people might listen to this and be like shocked. Just having known that I previously was like anti having kids and everything like that. But you know what? Things change, and the more information that we have and the more that we grow, the more we can change our minds, and we can just totally shift on things that we didn't think we were going to shift on. So, okay, that has been enough for today, I think. All right, I will talk to you guys next Thursday. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week.